Tonight's guest is Shelley. Shelley, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Vic. It's good to be here.
Well, it's great having you. Thank you for your time. Shelley, please give us a brief bio on yourself.
I was a cook for different places for a long time, and that's pretty much what I did. Cook at home now, so.
Wow, I should put you on the payroll. What do you think is your best dish?
I would have to say country fried steak.
Oh, man, don't tell me that. I love country fried steak.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, you're telling me. Yeah, I love that stuff. Shelley, in April of 2018, you had your first Dogman encounter. Before that day, what were your views on the existence of cryptids?
I have had Bigfoot sightings in the past and found various tracks in different places up in Oklahoma. And I had watched a movie called Dog Soldiers a long time ago. And the needling thought in the back of my mind was, are they real? You know, I've experienced different things, as in seeing shapeshifters and things like that. You know, it always made me wonder. But from what I've seen, they do exist. Dogmen do exist. So that was enough to make a believer out of me.
Yeah, seeing them will have a tendency of doing that. That's for sure. Were you a fan of werewolf movies before you watched Dog Soldiers?
No. My mother, a long time ago, used to watch the old movie, The Howling, and I hated that movie when I was a kid, and I hate that movie to this day. It scares me. It just scared me. But it's like, as I got older, it's like my son had brought this Dog Soldiers movie to my attention, and he was wanting me to watch it with him one night. So, you know, we watched it and stuff, and it just kind of always stuck in the back of my mind. Well, are they real? And I'm talking like back in 2008, 2009 was when I'd seen that with him. And I've heard some pretty strange howls and things that I don't know, you know, if they were like dogs or coyotes or what, but I heard one in April of 2020. And the sound that I heard, it scared me and my dogs to death. My dogs beat me back to the front door.
Have you stopped watching scary movies in general now that you've had those Dogman experiences?
No, I have not. I want to know more about how they originated, where they came from. I still watch them. I watch different shows on TV about people that's had encounters. People need to be aware that they are real. They do exist. And honestly, I wish to God I'd never seen what I did.
Yeah, I wish you wouldn't have also. You said you do watch scary movies, but do you watch werewolf movies now as well?
No. If I'm watching a movie and it has one in it, then, you know, as another type of creature or what have you. We watch a lot of sci-fi movies too. So, you know, some of that stuff has some of those creatures in there or similar type of creatures. But for me, just to sit down and watch, I'll watch Dog Soldiers because I've seen it so many times. It doesn't bother me now, because I know what I've seen and they are real. So I just, you know, keep aware of my surroundings when I'm outside and just hope and pray to God I never see another one.
Well, that makes two of us. I hope you never do also. You mentioned a bit ago that not only have you seen a Dogman, you've seen Sasquatch too. How many Sasquatch have you seen?
I've seen 3.
3 sightings?
Yes.
How would you compare what it's like to see a Dogman to what it's like to see a Sasquatch?
The Dogman scared me more than the Sasquatch encounters that I've had. The first Sasquatch sighting I had was in 1982, and I was 9 years old. Me and 2 other people seen it. It startled us. Yeah, it scared us. But it's like I wasn't afraid to like go back out where we seen it at or anything like that. Or the other two Sasquatch that I've seen, it's like, shoot, I've walked down the dirt road and at dark, and I didn't get scared or anything like that of that. Now, the Dogman, on the other hand, that scared me to death, even though I was in my vehicle and it was on all fours. But it's no, I don't want to see that again. I'll take a Sasquatch sighting over a Dogman sighting any day.
Yeah, that's how most people who've seen both feel. Most people would much rather see a Sasquatch than a Dogman again, so I get it. If you've had a Dogman encounter and would like to talk with me about it, whether in private or on the show, please go to dogmanencounters.com and submit a report. If you've had a Sasquatch sighting and would like to be a guest on one of my 2 Bigfoot shows, please go to mybigfootsighting.com and let me know. All right, Shelley, please tell us about your encounters now. Give us every last detail that comes to mind.
My Dogman sighting happened in April of 2018 in Grayson County in North Texas. Early that morning, around 5 a.m., I was driving to work on Highway 377. I was headed south by the Lake Texoma area. I went down this little hill, which is probably about 3 miles from where we have our lake house down here at Lake Texoma. And I saw this thing headed back north on the opposite side of the highway. It's like on the shoulder, on the side of the highway. And it was just walking. It was on all fours. It was solid black in color. Its body was about 6 feet long. It had pointed ears, and it had tufts of hair on the tips of its ears. It had a bushy tail, and it had a long snout. It looked like it had like a lion's mane around, like, say, from its head to its shoulders, its neck area. But it was probably about 4 foot tall on all fours. The eyes will haunt me for the rest of my life. Its eyes were beady yellow, amber colored. And as I drove by it, it lowered its head and it looked right at me. And I got the feeling like, was it going to do, attack me in my truck? But it didn't. It just looked at me. We made eye contact. It was very muscular. Its back legs and feet were huge. Its back feet were long, almost looked human, but they were canine. Its front feet looks like hands with claws. But I go back to its eyes. The look when we made eye contact, it will haunt me forever. It gave me that feeling of immediate terror and fear. I was scared to death. Its back legs and feet were like something you would see in a werewolf movie. That's what blew me away. It just blew my mind. But from where I saw this creature was about 3 miles from our lake house. I took off in my old truck. I just floored it, got to work, and literally ran inside. My boss came running to me. She said, "Shelley, what's wrong? You're as white as a ghost." I just looked at her in terror, and I didn't say anything to her because I knew that she would laugh at me, or I would be laughed at if this got out. So I kept it to myself, trying to understand what it was I saw, trying to wrap my head around this encounter. And it's like every time I myself or my husband and I drive by where I saw it, I still look to see if it's still around. But of course it's not. It's long gone. But it's like literally every time I go outside or we're outside, doing something here at our house, my head is on a swivel, especially at night. We have installed security cameras and motion lights all around our home. My thing is that where did it go? Where's it at now? I know these things move around a lot. The other encounter that I had was in April of 2020, which is 2 years later. Grayson County, North Texas. It was about 2:30 in the morning. My dogs had to go outside to do their business. Well, while we were outside, my dogs and I heard this sound. And it was a quiet night. I mean, there wasn't any other sounds like dogs barking or anything like that. It was quiet. I mean, it was so quiet. I mean, you could hear a pin drop. But what we heard was it sounded like a wailing man with the siren on the end of it. And it scared me and my dogs so bad that they beat me back to the front door. And the sound probably went on for like maybe 5 to 10 seconds. I didn't hang around outside very, very long to see when it quit or what have you. I don't know if it was the Dogman. I don't know. But it was coming from the south. The sound we heard was coming from the south. There's a boat club over there, but there's also a lot of like heavily wooded area in there. So I don't know if it was in there. I don't know where it was coming from. But people need to be observant of their surroundings at all times, anywhere. I just wished I'd never seen what I did.
That makes two of us. Yeah, I wish you never did also. If that Dogman was walking down the other side of the road you're on, how many lanes of traffic were between you and it?
One. It's a 2-lane highway. I was going south and it was headed back north, back down towards the lake.
Wow, it was close to you then.
Yes, it was massive. Vic, I've never seen anything like that before in my life. Never. The fear that I felt pure terror. It scared me that bad, and it still scares me to this day.
Well, I'm sure it does, but we're working on that. We're going to try and get it so that you can deal with this in a healthy way. It's just going to take time. When it comes down to it, Shelley, were you more disturbed by the fact that you saw it or by how frightening its eyes were?
By how frightening its eyes were, Vic. It is like something that is like burned into my mind. I seen it, the snout. I never saw any teeth, never showed its teeth or anything like that. But its eyes is what scared me to death. I didn't know at first what I was looking at. I was like, what is that? I was like, is it, somebody's big dog or something? And, a normal looking dog's not going to have back feet and legs that look like something that comes out of a werewolf movie. But its eyes, is what scared me the most. The look that it gave me.
When you looked into its eyes, did they have a paranormal quality to them and that's what frightened you so much? Or were they eyes that seemed to belong to a flesh and blood creature that just looked terrifying?
I think they were eyes of like a flesh and blood creature that just looked terrifying. I think these are flesh and blood creatures. After I looked into it and read some things, and I don't think that, UFOs come in and drop them off or whatever. I do not think that at all. I think these animals, this undiscovered species of animals, they're flesh and blood. I really, really do. That's what I think about them. And I feel the same way about Sasquatch.
Considering what you just said, just to verify here, in your opinion, there is no way what you saw actually was a werewolf. You're convinced it was definitely a Dogman that looks the way it does 24/7, 365.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, it was not a werewolf. No. What I saw was a Dogman.
No, I believe you. How sure are you or aren't you that the vocalizations you heard at your property 2 years later were made by the same Dogman?
I don't know if it was from the same Dogman or something else. Vic, I don't know. But I've never heard anything like that before. When something scares my dogs, I mean, normally nothing scares them. You better pay attention.
Well, I'd say so. It sounds like they were waiting for you back at the front porch.
Yes, they were. They beat me back to the front door. So We got in the house. I locked the door. All the lights were off. We went to bed. I mean, we did not go back outside that night. No.
Yeah, I can't say I'll blame you. Do you think those vocalizations were made for your benefit?
I've thought about that, Vic. It's like, I don't know. It could be letting me know or other people know if anybody else was out at that time. Of course, I didn't hear or see anybody else. It could have been letting me know, yeah, I'm still around. The sound didn't scare me as bad as me seeing this Dogman. I mean, yes, it startled me, but me seeing what I did over here on the highway, no. I don't wish that on anybody.
Not even your worst enemy?
No. My thoughts is if someone, elderly would see something like that, it'd probably throw them into a heart attack.
It just might. You never know. Just to clarify, how far were you from home when you saw it that one time?
3 miles. 3 miles from home.
Yeah, that's not very far at all.
Oh, not very far at all. Not very far at all. Some places have been cleared off and you'll have like pasture lands and stuff like that. But it's like a lot of places, there's still a lot of trees, like forested little spots, areas, thick underbrush. If you're allergic to poison ivy or sumac or poison oak, don't walk in there because it's just scattered all over down here. But it was 3 miles from where I seen it. It was 3 miles from our house.
Yeah, that's way too close for comfort. And speaking of close, you didn't know exactly where the sound was coming from, you said, but how close did it seem like the source of the sound might have been to you? Could you tell?
Like right down south on my road, there's a boat club. There's a thick forested, like heavy underbrush and undergrowth. And there's a bunch of like grown up trees and stuff in there. It was like right in there is where I heard that sound.
Yeah, that too is way too close for comfort.
Yeah.
Did you ever hear any other strange sounds at your property after that?
No, I never heard any more. After that, I mean, it was quiet. I haven't seen it no more. I haven't heard it anymore. I go outside at night with my dogs because there's big owls and birds and stuff down here. So just to make sure they're okay and nothing tries to run up, off.
Well, yeah, that's a good precaution regardless. How have those two experiences affected your life, Shelley? In other words, what can't you do now that you used to do before you had those experiences?
It's made me a lot more aware of my surroundings, especially at night. I'm just more observant, more careful. I would not go running around down here in the woods. We did one time, and this was before I had seen it. It was pretty creepy back there in those woods. We come across an old cemetery, but we never encountered or heard anything. And then it's like, I had that sighting over here on the highway and I'm like, okay, it's like, I wouldn't go back down in there in those woods again. And if we go fishing or something like that, it's like, I'm always looking. It's kind of spooked me, I guess, like in the back of my mind. They are down here.
Well, you are only human. Everything you just told us about is perfectly normal. That's pretty much what I would expect. Speaking of those woods, you said they were creepy back then before you had those experiences. I'm sure they'd be extra creepy now.
Yeah. Yeah, you would not catch me in these woods now. No, not here. No.
No, I understand.
Not around this lake. No.
From what I understand, you knew about me and what I do for quite some time before you contacted me about your Dogman encounters there, Shelley. Why'd you wait so long to reach out for help?
Well, my thing is that I kept this to myself for quite a while. I did tell one person about it. I did tell my children, but I mean, they were very supportive, very supportive. My thing is that, Vic, I know what I saw. Dogman do exist. I don't want to be laughed at, scoffed at, made fun of, or anything, because seeing is believing. So I didn't want to see what I did see.
Well, I wish you didn't see what you saw. Before you contacted me, had you found anyone besides your kids you could openly talk with about your encounters? If so, who was it?
I had told someone about it, and, we talked, and he was like, well, maybe you've seen a cat, a big cat, like a big panther or something. And this was not a panther. No, there are panthers down here in Texas. I've never seen one, but I've heard of people who have seen them. But what I seen, this was not a cat. He is very supportive. He just said that he didn't know what it was I saw. And I wish that he would have been there to see it with me, so he could have seen it too.
I wish you could have seen that. It sounds to me like you still live in the same house you lived in back then when you had those experiences. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, if that's the case, then how remote is it where you live?
It's an area like right across the Willis Bridge on the Texas side. And there are people that have like lake homes, and they'll come down on weekends and stay weekends and stuff. I believe Whitesboro is, I want to say, between 15 and 17 miles south of here on Highway 377. There are a lot of people that live in this area. People come and go all the time. So where we're at is like a small lake community, but there's other surrounding areas, that have like, people have like lake homes and stuff like that. So Lake Texoma is big. It's big lake.
You just said that a lot of people live in your area. How far away is the closest neighbor?
Right across the street. I mean, I can look out my kitchen window or front door, and we have people that live right across the street from us. It's like a small neighborhood. The lake is about, 4 blocks, 3-4 blocks east of us.
If you have that many people living that close to you, I wonder if any of them might have heard that vocalization.
I don't know. I would like to know that as well. Or if anybody else has seen anything like I've seen, I would love to talk to somebody in this area about it. But then again, I mean, a lot of people don't believe in that sort of thing. So I haven't told anybody else down here about it. And I'm talking about neighbors or anything like that.
No, I understand. How would you bring something like that up to them? So, yeah, that's not easy.
No. So I have not said anything to anybody about it down here. So I don't want people making fun of me and stuff. So that's not cool.
It really is a shame, though. It's got to be that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Vic, it kind of reminds me of back in the old days, where somebody seen something, they took it to their grave with them. They were on their deathbed. They came out and said, well, I seen this. This happened. I have a lot of questions about where they stay during the day, like during the winter months. Do they travel, to like a warmer climate, someplace that's warmer, like say farther down south, like in South Texas? I have so many questions on the Dogman, where they go, where they originated from and stuff. So to me, it's mind blowing.
Well, so that you know, I can't answer all those questions, but I can tell you this, they don't seem to be afraid of very extremely cold areas. So if they move around, which I'm sure they do, I think they just move around a huge home area. I don't think they migrate or anything like that. I think they just move around a large area to avoid depleting any resources in any particular spot where they live.
Yeah.
Kind of like a bear.
Right.
Do you want to move, or are you okay living there still?
I'm okay living here. I have no qualms living here at all. I mean, we love the lake life. We love it here. We really do. It's a neat little area. And if we did move, it would not be because of that.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you're still content living there. And I can understand why you'd love the lake life. It's just a shame that Dogman comes along with the package.
Right, yeah.
What's been the most frightening thing you learned about Dogman after you started researching them, Shelley?
That they can be vicious, that they can follow you home.
Well, yes, they can be vicious, but cases of that are very few and far between. When you said that, are you talking about stories you've heard on various shows making them out to be bloodthirsty, mindless, monstrous killing machines, or where did that come from?
I've heard like different stories on different shows where they, have attacked people or tried to attack people, chase them down and all this and everything. And it's like, wow. It's like, okay.
Oh boy. Please be very skeptical of stories you hear about Dogman being depicted as bloodthirsty, mindless, monstrous killing machines, Shelley. The reason why I'm warning you about that is because unfortunately there are a lot of shows out there who are making up all these stories about Dogman being so vicious and so dangerous just to boost their numbers and their views when in fact it's just creepypasta that's being presented as being true. So please be skeptical when you listen to stories like that.
Right. Well, I'll listen and I'll think about it because the one that I seen, yes, it scared me to death, but he didn't want to hurt me. We made eye contact. We looked at each other and yes, I was terrified and I still get scared when I think about it. But it was just like meandering down the side of the road. It was just walking down the side of the road. I happened to be at the right place at the right time and seen it. I didn't see where it went or anything like that. It just scared me.
Oh, I'm sure it did. Yeah, that would frighten anyone. Well, it's about time for us to get out of here, Shelley, but before we do you have any closing comments you'd like to share?
When people's out and about, you just need to be observant of your surroundings, especially anywhere for that matter now in this day and age. But it's like, especially around like lakes, woods, any primitive secluded areas, even around your home. So just be aware of what's around you, what's going on. Be safe.
Well, that's really good advice. Well, Shelley, I can't thank you enough for coming on and sharing the details of those experiences with us. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me, Vic.
Oh, you're welcome. You are welcome. And for everyone listening, please don't forget Shelley's going to be featured on this week's episode of My Bigfoot Sighting as well. Of course, that's going to be released at the same time that this episode of Dogman Encounters is. But having said that, thanks again so much for your time, Shelley, and have a great night.